Ridley, I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Just a heads up, this podcast contains strong language, you know, the good stuff. If this isn't for you, turn off now. For the rest of you, now fucking enjoy the podcast.
Right, this is the Iron Hour podcast. As always, I'm your host, Barra. I'm joined by 2 of my usuals today. I've got Marco Poliga.
Hello. That feels like I'm in a bit of a cave today. A bit of movement. There's been some table movement. But I am still
blink twice if your hostages, your captors are treating you well.
I feel like Jason Watt.
No, you look like you're on witness protection. And also today, Mr. Max Bell.
I mean, I'm not in witness protection. I think people would be better off if I was, but apart from that, I'm all right, Barry.
Indeed, right. So another action-packed episode. I say that every week, but it really is. Another one coming up for you today. We have the review of the Farsley game, and what a game it was. 6-0 we won on Tuesday night. And then we'll have the usual Spine the Camp segment. This week we talk to stadium announcer, podcast host, media sensation, Jon Belfield from Radcliffe FC. We'll preview the Radcliffe FC game coming up at the weekend. We have our usual hero, idiot, and moment of the week. And Marco will finish us off with the FPL update. You love finishing us off, don't you, Marco?
Oh, God, it's carried on from Humberside, isn't it?
I don't know what you're on about, mate. I had a rush of blood.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. It's just where the blood's gone to.
Anyway, right. Football, that's why we're here. We are a Scunthorpe United podcast, guys. Right. Farsley Celtic, 6-0 victory. Fantastic performance from start to finish, Max.
I thought the first 15 minutes were a bit wobbly. Farsley started the game a little bit sharper than we did. Had a couple of corners, a couple of straight passes. But as soon as we broke the deadlock, it really was like the floodgates open. You could see that the confidence of the players lifted, the confidence of the crowd lifted, and actually, I thought Farsley had the opposite effect. You could see a few of their players going, fuck, that's our game plan gone out the window. And what I particularly liked as well was, unlike Chorley and Warrington, when it got to 1-0, we didn't just go, right, that's it, manage the game. No, we kept going for the jugular. We kept throwing bodies forward on the overlap. We kept being quick and sharp in possession. And look, I think even the Farsley fans would admit it's probably not been their best performance this season. But, they went to Chester and got the same result that we did. Like that, there have been other games this season where they have really dug in and defended well. So no matter whether or not it's moments of quality from us or a little bit of slack defending or some goals, a bit of both, great performance. Good to see so many Iron fans happy. And yeah, you can't beat it when you score plenty of goals.
First goal, Marco. Prime Rory Delap again. Nicholson launching one into the box and Whitehall getting on the end of one for the second time in, 3 or 4 days. How important do you think that'll be this season, that tactic?
I sort of mentioned on Twitter, I don't think if he didn't have that throw, I don't think he'd be in the team at the minute on current form. I think it's maybe bought him a bit of time, sort of a bit of credit in the bank because he's got that weapon in his arsenal. So I really do think he's on that pitch due to that. But like I said previously in the podcast, Nicholson's more than good enough to be starting this 11. So there is obviously much more to his game in the throw. But yeah, look, it's a hell of a weapon to have at this level. And as Max said, they went to Chester. We were very happy. Well, I know some weren't happy with the performance, but if you'd have told me 0-0 before the game, you'd have took it. Which Max says it's exactly what they did. So look, no, I'm really good. It's nice to see. I know Max said the first 15 were shaky, but we've been saying it. And I mean, from last year when we came down to this level, really, that an early goal, we get 4 or 5, we really take it to a clean. So it's not really happened. Warrington, and the perfect example of that, we've not took it to them after. But yeah, yesterday was just the complete opposite. We really didn't take the foot off the gas. And long live 5-3-2.
Well, I think it was the last couple of home games. It has been more of a 3-5-2. I liked how much higher Barra's got up the pitch, certainly in possession. But just on the Nicholson point, I do think the throw-ins have helped him. I think he has got some credit in the bank. But one, I'm not totally sure that Rory Delap would have started for that Stoke side if he didn't have that massive long throw.
Definitely not.
But what I also think has helped Nicholson is the system, the three centre halves, and the fact that he's left-footed. That away at Southport, they could have dropped anything, and based on the performances over that game, and maybe in the case of Nicholson, the last 3 or 4 games, it would have been justified. So, look, I'm glad he played well. I thought they all played better, not just going forward, but at the back as well. And we all know how football is. If we beat Radcliffe at home on Saturday and we play well again and we score a few goals again, Southport will feel like a dim and distant memory.
I'm sorry, but I remember being at Gainsborough next to you, Barra, and saying, "Don't mind playing this formation at all." But my only problem is centre backs. That is such a risky place on the pitch to make mistakes, and we're adding more. That was my main concern, and I think Southport showed that frailty really well. The individual errors. If you make a mistake at centre half, it's a goal. It's going to cost you. And I just think having 2, you look a bit more solid and you take that sort of a risk out of it. But by playing 3, you are always going to have that risk. At home against these so-called lesser teams, all due respect to obviously Farsley and Rushall, it's fine and it's a free. But yeah, that was one of my worries at the start of the season with this formation. It did show on Saturday, but it's forgotten about.
Max, I guess as we touched there, any one of the 3 that made the mistake on Saturday could have dropped out the side. Was you surprised it was Maxi who actually got the bullet in the end?
Yeah, I was. And literally 5 seconds before the team was announced, I was stood at the bar in the high bar with you, and you went, "Oh, Coogan's the least likely to get dropped." And I turned around and went, "Yeah, I agree with that." At which point then somebody else in the high bar turns around and goes, "Yeah, he's dropped Coogan." You cannot buy timing and quality football analysis like that. I was surprised that it was him. I thought he was perhaps a little bit unlucky, but that's football, baby, and it was clearly proven to be the correct decision in the context of the fact that we won 6-0. So it wouldn't surprise me if there were now no changes for the Radcliffe game on Saturday.
Marco, that's football, baby. Carl Roberts getting the goal, and a fantastic performance again from him, wasn't it?
Oh, look,
baby.
Look, is it Sixy? Is that what we're doing again? Is that what the kids are saying? But no, Carl Roberts. We're running out of words to describe how well he's playing in that 10 role. Whether you agree with formation or not, I think he's been a real benefactor out of this shape. You'll have to go on Iron Stats to see his goals and assists, but man, he's replaced Butterfield and more. It really is suiting him. And look, when somebody's playing that well, I'm obviously a pessimist. I just think, God, if he gets injured, what are we going to do? And if I'm not thinking that, I'm thinking, God, what if a league team comes in from in January? There's 2 really good. I think there's 2 really big possibilities there. Obviously, with his injury record, touch wood, it looks like he's got a really good run of games at the minute and he's playing well. But I'd be amazed, especially seeing yesterday's performance as well. He looks a head and shoulders above the rest of the players on that pitch yesterday. Like I said, run out of words to say how good he is at this level.
And Max, I can see you eager to get in there. One thing before you do on Saturday, there was kind of a moment there where we were all concerned just before half time where Roberts did go down and it looked like it might have been quite a serious injury. Does that weigh heavy on you as well?
Yeah, it does. The thing that annoyed me most about Roberts, when he was getting treatment, was the ref just blew for half time and fucked off. Didn't go over and check that he was all right. Didn't wait. No, I just thought, oh, bollocks! I didn't give a foul. Nickers to you, I don't care. That aside, yeah, it does, and it's interesting to me that we are playing Roberts pretty consistently, Saturday, Tuesday. There aren't many games this season where it feels like we've done sort of what we did with Butterfield last season, taking him off consistently at 65 and 70, and the odd game or 2 when we have subbed him off. I think creatively we have really noticed the difference. Like Marco said, maybe he's a little bit of a replacement for Butterfield in that kind of 10 role, but obviously we don't have Butterfield to fall back on this season. Laurie's still injured. Connor Smith is playing in the SPL. So I do feel that we would really miss Roberts, especially in this system where you need one of your three central midfielders to be a real driving, creative outlet. I'm probably less worried about a side coming in for him during the season, though, just because, look, if he didn't have a wretched injury record, he wouldn't have ended up at us in first place. So, we've got to be realistic about that. And I do look back on last season and think, oh God, what a great difference a fit Cal Roberts could have made, in those really big moments. But it's also worth thinking in mind that he's, if you like, a Hilton contract. He'll be one of the highest earners at the clubs. I don't think there will be too many sides at the level above who'd be able to come in and really stump up the cash that would make us go, we'll waver about that. But also, as we found out with Whitehall last season, actually, when he was linked with York, to actually make the player himself go, well, they're offering me quite a bit more, or I'll really have to think about this. So the longer Robert stays fit, the more goals, the more assists, the more great passes he's able to contribute, the better season we will have.
And, Ollie Turner picked this up actually with Butler in the post-match interview on Humberside, saying, obviously he is out of contract in the summer. Will the plans be to get him tied down? And Butler's response, quite an honest one, was, look, we're Scunthorpe United at this stage. He's welcome to move on to bigger and better things at the end of the season if he takes us up. That was kind of the nature of the talk, and I don't think anyone here would begrudge him a move if he got back into the Football League. It kind of, like we've said, he's a quality player, and if he can stay injury free, he should be playing in League Two. He certainly should be at the top end of the National League. In terms of players kind of coming up though and trying to make a name for themselves, Marco, Sam Fishburne now, 2 Tuesday nights in a row, he's been fantastic. And second goal of the season, the cult hero, the Fish.
I'm not sure about cult hero, but he's definitely mine. Really good to see him back in the squad. I think a lot of people raised eyebrows that he wasn't in the squad at Southport after putting in possibly a man of the match display. I do think that was harsh, but look, it was a sort of change in shape. I can see why he didn't play these games at home. Again, I'm being really disrespectful, you're calling them lesser teams, but it's the perfect opportunity to sort of ease Fishburne into games, get his confidence up a bit. And look, the fact he got a goal, which he didn't get last week, was fantastic. So yeah, big fan of Fishburne. And like I said last week, it didn't work, but I think Whitehall and Fishburne worked a little bit better as the two yesterday. So I'm eating my words.
And then so it gets to half time with 3-0 up. I said to my lad, he said, what do you think the score would be? I said, probably 3-0. Typical Scunthorpe now would be, don't take too many risks, play it out. We've got the 3 goals, we'd be happy with that. And then, second half, it went to a whole new level. We ended up 6-0 winners in the end. Penalty by Danny Whitehall on the 70th minute. Max Brogan getting a tidy goal, actually, on the 85th minute. And Will Evans claiming the final goal in the 89th minute. A bit of confusion there if he or Maxi had scored it, in fact. But possible signs of concern, Max, when Danny Whitehall limped off?
Yeah, again, we haven't got somebody like a Danny Elliott to rely on as a very high quality fullback option for this level, like we did last season. So I am really still a big believer that we're a worse side without Danny Whitehall. Even if he doesn't have a great game, you do notice the difference. I hope he's okay. I'm still very satisfied with how we played on Tuesday, but I am of the belief that the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks he hasn't looked fully fit. He looks like he's carrying a niggle that he's having to play on with because he's important and he wants to contribute to the team and he knows that the team needs him now. You don't want him to make that kind of injury worse, but also if we're in a position where we're going to need probably between 90 to 95 points to win the league this season, then we can't afford to have Danny Whitehall out for too long, especially as whilst Fishburne has arrived at the right time, if you like, we've still had Carlton not very fully fit. We've still had a bit of a hiccup with the odd performance here and there. So hope he's okay. I think he will be. I think he'll start on Saturday yeah, if he can bag another goal or two, it'll be big thumbs up from everyone.
Marco, if I was being hypercritical, I thought Will Evans was a bit sloppy in possession at times. And there was a spell in the second half, we're being completely honest, where Farsley had a good kind of 10 minutes and I thought we'd kind of just taken our foot off the gas a bit. And they could have quite easily scored, couldn't they?
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to do in games like that where you've got a comfortable lead. You do sometimes take your eye off the ball, or obviously take your foot off the gas. But again, like I said earlier, if it's for centre half doing that, then it's probably a little bit of concern. Something Butler will definitely address, I think. I don't think he takes any prisoners, Butler. I think it's something he'll definitely picked up on and look to work on. Thing is, we've got a lot of depth at centre half in those three positions. So if he feels like one's not performing, I think that's really harsh because Evans had a good game. But like I said, it was a bad 10 minutes. Then yeah, I think they'd be straight out. Like you said, Coogan, no prisoners.
And to be there in person, I mean, it was just an awesome performance, really, on Tuesday night. Obviously, you weren't able to make it on Tuesday. What was it like on what was the coverage like? Did you get the impression that we were just, it was foot on the throat and pretty relentless at times?
Yeah, early doors. So some of us had to make a living. I got called probably to win the last minute, so I had it on Humberside. Good to see we got a shout out from Ollie Turner. Really appreciate that. Saying it was listening to our podcast on his way to the game. So we'll do your work for you, Ollie. Don't worry, you can always rely on us.
What do you mean us? It's all Barra.
Yeah, Barra.
I hear he's a one-man band.
Barra's on the Radio Humberside payroll. You've heard it here first.
Right, can I just say what's happening there? Max is having a pop shot at me because I had a little bit of a diva moment before we went on air today. Just a little bit diva.
But no, yeah, like I said, Humberside always smash it with the coverage. It's good to have an option. But yeah, you don't really get a full feel from it. Nothing's replacing being at the game. But yeah, look, Granford Park sounded great. You can't make winning 6-0 sound bad on any radio station. So yeah, no, not ideal, but thank you, Humberside.
Also, thank you, Marco, for going out and earning a living and getting the good people of Selby or wherever it was their fair share in Hawaiian pizzas.
Yeah, well, Hawaiian pizza's gone up 20 quid due to the tax today.
If nothing else, we're topical. Before we move on to the next section, Marco, I thought Clunan had a fantastic game on Tuesday. I mean, sometimes he does get the stick, doesn't he, for that kind of sideways passing, as people call it. But it seems this season, it really does feel like absolutely everything goes through him, doesn't it?
100%. Roberts is going to get you plaudits because of the assists and the goals, and you can obviously see he's a great player. None of that happens without Clunan. Clunan's about first player on the team sheet for me. I think he's so key to what we're doing. Look, the other players get rotated. How often do you see Clunan getting subbed or not playing? You don't. Jimmy rated him really highly. Butler's came in and obviously done the same thing. He's club captain. He plays that same role every game. Vital, absolutely vital. And again, it's easy for us to be biased here because we sponsor him, but I cannot stress enough how important he is to his team.
And actually, as well, I think he's grown more important in the couple of games where we played Beeson and Roberts in central midfield. Look, I think holding midfielders can be an easy target, not just for our fans, but for football in general. But I think of even the Scunthorpe sides under Nigel Adkins, which were very, very attacking, in order to be able to have, Matt Sparrow or Gary Thompson going down the right, Wolford going down the left, McCann O'Connor pushing forward out the middle, they had Sam Togwell behind them. That year we won League One again in order for Ian Morris and Cleveland Taylor to be bombing on. They still had Jim Goodwin doing the dirty work. So, look, I think Clunan does an incredibly important job, particularly when we've got attacking players in those kind of central midfield areas, and hopefully that will continue.
Marco, do you want one?
Sean McAllister, 100%. So unsung hero, collected all the trophies at the end of the season. No coincidence.
I like that. All right. I can see you gagging for one, Marco. Spy in the camp?
Oh, go on, man.
Yeah, let's have one. Let's have one.
Like that big brother, like, do you want another one?
Yeah. Here you go, Iron fans. This week's Spy in the Camp. Right, I'm joined this week. It's quite an exciting one, actually. It's stadium announcer and podcast host of Radcliffe FC, Mr. Jon Belfield. How are you doing, John?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. It's been a not great start to the season, has it, for Radcliffe?
No, it's been a really, if I can say crap, I would say crap start to the season in more ways than one, really. Obviously, we won the Northern Prem last year, had the time of our lives, scoring for fun, even giving some clubs like a 2 or 3 goal head start and still winning like 4-3 and 5-3. It was amazing to watch. I'm sure you can appreciate, but yeah, and then we've come into this season, kept most of the squad together, added a few more faces that have got experience in this division, and then kind of gone, right, yeah, I like the look of the squad. It looks decent. And yeah, we just had then horrendous injuries to start with. We kind of started with at least 7 or 8 injuries, which were mostly first team players as well. So that wasn't a great start. A couple of draws. We've had some really horrendous news off the field as well. Our chairman suddenly died on the eve of the game. So that was a massive shock. He was only mid-40s. So that's been kind of something else to deal with. And then we just started to turn a corner. It felt like we got a couple of draws, got a couple of wins away from home. We won away at South Shields, away at Brackley, and we're thinking, hang on a minute, we're starting to turn a corner here. But we've just had 2 home games and lost 3-1 and 2-0. So I'm sure we could talk about that in a minute. So it's still a bit up and down, and we're still not really where we thought we'd be, I think, is probably the best description. We didn't expect to be at the top this season. Absolutely not. I know some teams go bounce and bounce again. We didn't expect to do that, but I don't think any of us expected to be in a relegation battle. I think that goes to the managers as well. They've got no experience of a relegation battle ever, so it's all new to them as well.
This league can be absolutely brutal, John, at times.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen it ourselves. You mentioned there just about the management team. Obviously, very experienced management team, having taken Salford to the brink, really.
Yeah. Yeah, 600 games, I think, over 600 games, I think they manage now as a pair. Like I say, well publicised at Salford due to the BBC documentary. But a lot of experience at Chester as well. Before that, they were at Ramsbottom United and stuff. So they've got a lot of success behind them as well. I think John was talking last night after the game, and I think he said that he's never managed a team that's finished lower than 9th in the division. So when you're kicking around 20th, 21st, it's a bit of a culture shock, I think. But
what do you think the draw would have been there? You know, they're just not putting Radcliffe down at all. But obviously, like you say, he's managed at that higher level and been at the top end of the table. Is there an expectation there that you can have a good go this season?
Yeah, I thought so. I remember reading an article that Bernard Morley, one of the joint managers, did an article, I think probably the non-league paper or something like that, I think, before the start of the season. And he says, optimistically, they'd love to aim for the playoffs, but realistically, the top half of the table they'd be really happy with. And that was kind of the expectation. And I don't think, especially us as a media team, we're quite lucky to have a decent-sized media team and some talented people. And we all thought, yeah, all right, top half we'd be really, really happy with. You know, we can't expect to come into a league where some teams are now full-time or have had players that have just left the full-time game at a higher level and, you know, managers that have got a lot of experience at managing at this level and higher. You can't expect to just walk in and run amok almost. But we thought that the togetherness of the team, which is really, really strong, and the way the team sets up and plays, we'd win more than we lost just about. And I think that's kind of the assumption that we were working to. And it's not panned out that way yet. So,
as we say, lost the last 2 games, including a 2-0 defeat at home to Buxton on Tuesday night. What have the last couple of performances been like? The results been justified or tough luck?
I think with the 3-1 defeat at home, we were chasing the game. We went 1-0 up, it went 1-1. That was Oxford City. It was 1-1, and then we chased the game and we left ourselves to expose at the back. And got sucker punched twice. Buxton game was Tuesday night. It was at that game, well, at both games, but obviously it's fresh in my memory. It's a really good game, actually, if I'm being honest. It was two teams passing the ball around well, both had chances, both testing the keeper. Got to 82 minutes. We hadn't made a sub. We were about to make 3 changes, all attacking changes to freshen it up and go for the game. And they scored a free kick on 83 minutes just before those players were due to come back on. And we were just looking at the bench, on Tuesday night, and we were just saying how, for the first time, how strong the bench looked from all the subs. All the subs were first team regulars that you'd go, yep, they get in the team, they get in the team. And obviously, Jono and Berner were just waiting to bring them on. And they scored a good free kick, to be fair, but still a bit of a kick. And we still had chances after that, and didn't quite fall our way. And then they literally, last kick of the game, they got on the other end, and we had 10 men forward, and it was a simple tap in, and it was 2-0. But yeah, that's kind of how the game went. But it was a very close game. I was a bit concerned having Buxton just won 7-1 on the Saturday just before, and we looked a bit flat towards the end of the Oxford City game. So we were a bit like, what to expect. But to be fair to the managers and the players, they picked themselves up and they played well last night, just not the final product over the line, which is a complete contrast to last season, really.
And in terms of goals scored this season, 5 goals coming from attacking midfielder Josh Hancock. But unconventionally, I've got here 4 goals for centre-back Bradley Roscoe. What's the story there?
He puts his head in. He's happy to, he's in the box. He's going for it. Although I don't think they're all been headers. Some of them have just fallen for him, and he's managed to get on the end of it. He's a decent defender, is Brad. He can play the ball. He's not just all our main 3 centre backs are good passers of the ball. They're not your standard old fashioned centre back who can just head it and hoof it and nothing else. They can all play. The problem we've had is we've not really been able to play all 3 of them together yet this season. We managed the 2 games where we have played all 3 of them together was the 2 games that we just won with Brackley and South Shields. And then Ollie got injured and we're back down to not quite the strongest back 3. We've also just signed recently Tunde Awolabi. We signed him back from Southport. He was a real Radcliffe favourite probably 3 or 4 years ago. When we were in the more regional leagues, and he was top scorer and scored an absolute boat full of goals. Went out and has played for a number of clubs around the UK, and was at Southport and has joined us, and he's scored 3, I think, in 5, I think, something like that now since he's rejoined us. So he knows where the net is. Definitely knows where the net is. So
definitely one to look out for then on Saturday. In terms of style, formations, what can we expect from Radcliffe at the weekend?
Quite dynamic. We tend to play with 3 centre backs, 2 wing backs who do push on quite a lot. Then 2 holding midfielders more often than not. We've got Lois Maynard, Nicky Adams, who are both very experienced league players. And then we will play, like I say, with 2 wing backs, and then 2 players pushing on further up and 1 up top. So it changes, if I'm being honest, from what the formation when we attack, it then changes to when we defend a little bit. So it is quite a fluid formation, but it is it was quite dynamic last season. It's not quite having the right effects yet this season, but that's tend to what you can expect. We'll get the ball down. You won't tend to find the keeper booting it long. The ball will go out from the goalkeeper to the defenders, and then we'll try and work the ball forward through the lines and stuff. So
it's nice to see actually when your team has a real good go at playing football like that, rather than just the Route 1 direct stuff. Even if it's a tough league, it's the right way to play football, I always think. So it was a tough start really for Radcliffe this season. It was the 11th game of the season before you got your first victory. In terms of expectations this season and what you can expect and what we can expect, what would the fans be hoping for?
The fans will. I think the fans were absolutely spoilt last season. The fans will be first to admit we were absolutely spoilt for the quality of the games, the standard of the games, the excitement in the games. So for me, Bernard and Jono have bought an absolute bucket full of a bucket load of people backing them all the way, so we've not had the greatest of start, but you don't hear anything in the crowd of any kind of murmurs of discontent or anything like that. And before I said to you off air, Radcliffe out the first team I've ever supported. You get involved in it because you do it, but I've supported another team for years when discontent has been like the main thing. So, there isn't any of that at Radcliffe. The fans are back. We'll back him. Obviously, coming to Scunthorpe, it's a new ground. Technically, if you look at it, probably Scunthorpe is the biggest team with the biggest history, with the highest, championship. Am I right? You're in the championship.
Yeah, as recent as about 13 seasons ago, I think.
Yeah, so you're probably the biggest team that we will play in respect of your history and where you've been. So, I expect we'll take a decent following to your place. It's a bit of a trek, so it's not that near, but it's a good stadium, and we know it'll be a good stadium. So it'll be good to travel. So you'll hear the team getting behind him. I think that we'll still have a go. We won't sit back. I know you're doing really well in the league, and we won't be intimidated by that. We'll still play our way and we'll still do our thing. Bern and Jono will look at how you play and will look to try and expose any opportunities that they see, but they won't have 10 men behind the ball all of a sudden and become intimidated that way. Everyone needs to win their individual battles. That's kind of what you should expect from a Radcliffe team.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that insight, John.
No worries, mate.
Well, Max, they were the thoughts there of Mr. Jon Belfield, stadium announcer, podcast host, as we said at the start, media sensation. Seems to have every job going on the book at Radcliffe FC. Really interesting to hear what you had to say there, particularly about the management setup, Bernard Morley and Anthony Johnson, two pretty high-profile managers there.
Yeah, and they've got a very strong track record at this level. They've got Salford promoted out of the National League North. They then had a bit of a falling out with the 92 ownership, if you like, and it was actually Graham Alexander who ended up replacing them at Salford, I believe. When we were talking before the season about our kind of predictions, Radcliffe were the one promoted side. I thought we possibly had the best chance of staying up. Goes to show what we know, and fair play to Leamington, who've got double the points. 20 points to Radcliffe's 10, and I suspect that it will be a tough game when you get promoted into any league. It is tough, and that there's certainly been games where they have found it tough this season, but I would be very, very surprised if there was a repeat result. I definitely don't expect another 6-0 on Saturday.
The word, Marco, that what John used repeatedly there was dynamic, describing Radcliffe as being a really dynamic and progressive team who like to play the wing backs just as we do. And it's maybe not worked for them this season. It took them 11 games, as we said in that piece there, before they got the first win of the season. But I'm really interested to see actually how we line up and how we perform against a team that, by all intents and purposes, is going to have a real good go on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think we've got enough quality to take on anybody in this league and go toe-to-toe with anyone who fancied it. Thought Farsley came and tried play a little bit of football yesterday, and obviously that backfired. Look, we used to teams, especially the last 2 or 3 years, we used to teams coming, putting 2 banks of 4, sitting deep, not really pushing us. So like you said, if they do come and have a go, I think it will be an interesting game. But if they did, I think there is probably potential for us to pick them off like yesterday and maybe be another convincing win. Like Max says, I don't think it will be as easy as yesterday. But yeah, I don't know if we're doing predictions yet, but I am going for another home win.
Yeah, and Radcliffe are quite interesting in that usually when sides are down at the bottom of the division, it's because they're struggling to score goals. Radcliffe's probably the opposite issue. I mean, they went to Hereford and scored 3. They were 2-0 up away at Southport with, I believe, 55 minutes gone. So they do have a goal threat in them, even away from home. But I would hope that we've got more of a goal threat in us. And I think it's a bit like Marco said earlier in terms of an early Scunthorpe goal really does help. And that we showed on Tuesday that if we do get ourselves 1 or 2-0 in front, that we can keep our foot on the gas. And I hope that that's something we learn for Saturday. But yeah, time will tell.
Marco, Max touched there actually on the fact that they are I won't say prolific, but they are clearly a goal threat. And as John explained there, 4 goals coming from Bradley Roscoe at centre-back. So you have to think the game will be won in both boxes.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it sounds like it's set piece. Something uncharacteristically well, I know Southport wasn't great, but wasn't really set pieces the issue. So that in that case, I don't think that's something to worry about. Look, we've got goals from our centre backs, Coogan or Evans grabbing one last night. I still don't think Maynard, but yeah, look, we've got threats from all over the pitch, and I think we'll have too much. Again, that'll get clipped, they'll win us 1-0, but
Now, and remind us, what was your prediction, Marco?
Saturday. Oh, I'm on 4. I got Rushall right. And I did think it'd be high scoring this if I didn't think 6. Saturday, I'm going 4-1 Iron.
Wow. 4-1 Iron. Max, what do you reckon?
I'll go 3-1.
3-1 Iron. I'm going to go 2-0 Iron. I think. Clean sheet, I'll take that. Oh, by the way, we've got to mention this. What was Fitzsimmons doing yesterday, Max, putting that dive in?
Look, it is what it is. We know he likes to keep himself and the crowd entertained. And I'm just disappointed that nobody's doubled down on your lads' predictions for a 3-0 and a Boise hat-trick.
Yeah, that was insane, wasn't it? I don't know why.
Too much time listening to his dad.
Well, yeah, there is that element actually, and you bring us on to a good point. Actually, we possibly could have talked about this earlier, but before the game against Farsley, you and I, Max and Gareth, spent a little bit of time with the Farsley fans, and it was nice, wasn't it? Actually, just to spend some time with them after obviously they were on the podcast earlier on in the week.
It was terrific. I was going to mention it in one of my hero idiot moment of the week section. So you've stolen my thunder. But yeah, no, it was terrific. Obviously, we put the photograph out on the social media channels, and they were really good company. It was really easy to empathise with the situation that they're in off field when you go to a game knowing, look, the lads could play brilliantly tonight, but in a way, it almost doesn't affect your fate when there are such bigger things happening behind the scenes, and they underestimated their own support. And it was, there was clearly, I think it would be safe to say about 60% of the Farsley fans at least were hanging out in the Iron Bar just before the game, which was really great to see. And if nothing else, Scunny fans have now got a very selfish reason for hopefully Farsley to make it through the season, because if they don't, they'll take our 3 points and our 6 goals off us.
Well, yeah, that's very true actually. Yeah, right.
And it's a crack play day, so let's hope we get back to playing back at home, because I'm banking on that one.
Yeah, before it looked like the Somme, it was absolutely a cracking away day. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything sorts itself out for Farsley, no doubt. Right then, everyone's favourite segment, Hero, Idiot and Moment of the Week. Marco, do you want to kick us off? Who's your hero of the week?
My homework on my notes. So my hero, it's not an individual, it's actually Dunstable Town Football Club. Again, I think I shared this on my social media the other day. So their first aiders are also mental health trained now. It says on the back of a vest, obviously people don't have to go approach them, but it's for people who are maybe a little bit lonely, go to the game on their own, just wanting a friend or someone to talk to. Sometimes a 30-minute chat goes a long way and really does help. So for them to have that idea and that initiative, hopefully I see a lot more teams doing it, because it's something so simple and it can make such a big difference. So bit of a serious one, but yeah, Dunstable Town, really good work.
Max, your hero of the week?
That's a great shout. My hero of the week, as per the previous discussion, were the 39 Farsley fans who made the trip across to Glenny Park, which might not sound like many, but that's 30 more than Rushall brought, so it's an increase of well over 300%. They were terrific. They were great company, lots of gallows humour, really good crack with them in the Iron Bar before the game. And one thing that did make me smile as well was, when we were chatting about the podcast, I still remember a couple of them turning around to each other and going, "We don't have anything like that. We should do that." And sort of one of them was going, "Yeah, but we might not get great figures. We're not as big a club as Scunthorpe." I genuinely made the very serious point that even if only one person listens, and even if it's Barra's mother, it's still worth doing. So they were great, and I really do very sincerely wish them the best for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to give George a shout out as well. I mean, David obviously spoke so eloquently on the podcast, but George, I don't know if you did see the 39 fans, Max, but the one that was singing throughout the whole game, that was George. And somebody came up to me after the game and said, Barry's got to be your hero of the week. I was like, well, I don't get a hero of the week, mate, do I? But if I did, he would have been mine. So yeah, massive shout out.
And it was great to see actually when they announced 39 fans, there was a proper round of applause from the Donny Road end, which I know the Farsley fans noticed, and they obviously messaged you about as well, Barra. So it's the absolute least they deserved.
Well, we've already had a bit of a love-in for Farsley, so I'm going to give the points to Marco for Dunstable Town and their, was it mental health first aiders? Rate that a lot.
Using the two together. Something so simple.
Yeah. A bit like you, really, in a lot of ways. Right.
So we're having quite a serious chat about the importance of mental health, and then all of a sudden, Barra loses his rag, fucking turns around and goes, yeah, Marco, you're a bit simple, aren't you?
That's 10.
Yeah, right, mate. When this stops recording, it's...
They will play advantage.
Yeah. You're going to wave that on, Max. There's nothing in that. Idiot of the week. Max, kick us off. Who's your idiot of the week?
You after that.
Do you know, I have 50p on you saying that. We're so good for this. Every week you do that.
Well, I thought about saying your hairdresser, but, you know...
the people that was funny 4 weeks ago, mate.
Still funny.
My idiot of the week is, well, it's not a singular person, it's a collective, and it's Manchester United. Just for the fact that I want to be able to go for a lot of people our age, I think, who were old enough to remember when they were good and when they were winning every year. You know, you go to school and everybody there was a plastic Man United. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Plastic Man United fan, and just the way in which they're now still not operating properly. And any time they lose, it will never not be funny. There we go, hiccups again. This is what I get for taking the mick out of Barra. God has gone, nah, you're speaking too much here. But not even hiccups will stop me laughing at Manchester United by Ten Hag. Yeah, there we go. All the hundreds of millions of pounds they've spent, they've gone backwards. And I feel like the fact that I cannot even talk about this section without literally bodily functions, then it sums it up. It sums it up.
Jesus. Marco, who's your idiot of the week?
If Marco could start coughing now or like throwing up, we've got full house.
After that slight hiccup,
Hey.
my idiot, it's a couple of individuals. I saw Downton fans complaining on Farsley Celtic's news that they had to ground share with Buxton.
Have you seen that? I was mental.
Concerned about their travel costs increasing. Look,
I'm not only that, but of all the clubs, fucking Darlington. Are they not aware of the fact that they left their ground because of a nut job owner who then built a massive 30,000 bloody seater elephant, and now they're playing at the rugby club with an away end that's got no shelter? Like, this should be the last club not sympathising with somebody in that situation.
Yeah, look, it's a thing other Scunthorpe fans also know all too well. We was obviously room to go to Ilkeston. We know it's not ideal, but for Farsley, it is a must. And for Downton fans to be complaining, I thought, wow. Again, it is a minority. It's not all Downton fans. We know a few Downton fans watch the podcast. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Marco deserves that, especially with my hiccups.
He does, actually. I'm going to give him it 2-0. But just to, this isn't a slight on the Darlow fans at all. It was those numpties that really... Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. And by the way, Darlow's original stadium, the one that, as you say, was built, what round that was, by the way. I think the rugby team play there now, do they?
Yeah, the actual arena, ironic for the football.
Gorgeous.
The George Reynolds Arena, and now Darlington play at what was the rugby ground?
Yeah,
the Blackwell Meadows, I want to say.
Yeah,
very, very, very fond memories of there last season.
Right, and let's have moment of the week then. Is it going to be a clean sweep? Marco, what's your moment of the week?
Mine really tickled me, to be fair. It was the Ballon d'Or ceremony. All week, it's been rumoured Vinicius Jr. is a shoo-in. It was done.
Done deal, mate. Who else is going to win it?
It was literally done. On the morning of the Ballon d'Or, they found out Rodri was in fact winning it. Real Madrid, the president, throwing a full hissy fit and telling Real Madrid players, Bellingham, Ancelotti, the manager, and Vinny, to not attend in spite was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I really did enjoy it. That's my moment of the week.
Absolutely pathetic behaviour from Real Madrid, and but I guarantee that the competition the Ballon d'Or organisers and stuff, the lesson they will learn from that is do not fucking tell people who's winning before the main event. And not only that, but didn't Ancelotti win Coach of the Year?
Yeah,
and who did he dedicate it to? Vinny.
Well, but it's also that was also a crazy decision. How the fuck did Xabi Alonso not win that?
Yeah,
like
that's a good shout. I think Unai Emery would have been in with a shout. You know.
Yeah, it's really weird how the sort of do it. In what period of time are they judging?
Yeah.
So what I would say to Real Madrid is, all right, fair cops, you probably should have won that one. But then you shouldn't have bloody won that one. So take the rough with the smooth, fellas, and get on with your lives.
I like it.
Yeah. Inject it, baby. Max, what was your moment of the week?
My moment of the week is significantly more tin pot than that, but it was the one that made me laugh. It was a moment at Southport where it's a big open terrace there. We're struggling to get the atmosphere going because the acoustics sort of flies straight up into the air, and there was a couple of shouts of "We want our drummer back," and then somebody's pointed out and said, "He can't. He's in Spain. It's half term." And you just don't get that supporting Man City.
Can I say as well, we have missed him again.
Yeah.
There's a noticeable difference. I forgot the young man's name. I know he
Ryan Ashmore.
So can I just say right now, officially on the Iron Hour podcast, we're going to start a petition, a repatriation petition, get him flown back from Spain. Get that GoFundMe set up, Max.
With no drum.
You don't get that in the Premier League, do you? Where you're able to identify a noticeable difference in the atmosphere because it's half term.
Because the lad's in Benidorm.
Yeah, exactly. Some lad's mum didn't want to get fined for taking them away during term time.
We'll pay
the fine.
And then everyone starts going, "Oh yeah, but it's not half term in Hull because the weeks are different." And there was just something about that moment that's so scunthed up. That's so what you get, both the funny moments and also the frustrations about supporting a smaller club.
I've noticed that, especially at this level. I can't think of many away grounds that we've been or we will go to where there is that sort of enclosed roof, and you do lose a hell of a lot of atmosphere. Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, I really can't picture many at all.
Chester, Curzon.
The main stand actually at Southport, I think, was pretty tight over. I don't recall it being that big.
Barra was sat down the side, but down behind our goal and at the other side at Southport, it's very open terrace. There's a little bit of Rushall, but it is only a little bit behind that goal.
Radcliffe.
Yes, but again, it doesn't go back very far. Or I think when we went to Needham Market. It was the seating area, and there was about 4 rows, and that was it. If you wanted to stand, it was out in the cover. So look, we're not going to the Leicesters, we're not going to the Sheffield Uniteds, and we don't deserve to because of all the on and off field issues we've had. Like this is the level we're at, and we didn't get promoted last season, so it's where we deserve to be, and you've got to make the best deal of that on and off the pitch.
I never thought I'd be like an Oldham away.
I love an Oldham.
Yeah, just a roof.
But can I say, actually, before the Farsley game on Tuesday, a couple of Farsley fans said to me, "Oh, Barra, do you you're getting sick of this now. Do you want to get back up? And I was like, I'm genuinely torn because on one hand, like there's obviously the element where we think we're punching below where we should be, but on the other side of the coin, it's like we've had the Rush Hall vice chair on, and like if we're in League Two, right, I'm not getting the Chester chairman to come onto the Iron Hall podcast, am I? Do you know what I mean? Like it's just so like real, isn't it?
I'd say it's been nice to have that opportunity and to get these people on. But in reality, no, I'm not too fussed about who's.
And I think that there's a difference between it happening for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
I think of, what was it, York 5 years, Stockport 6. I reckon by the 4th or the 5th year, there's only so many times you can get the vice chairman on without you looking at the league table and thinking, for fuck's sake, lads.
I'm there now.
Yeah.
I want out this league.
It's a cracking lad. Here he is for the 5th time.
Yeah. So look, we didn't get promoted last season, but we were genuinely just grateful to have a club by the end of it after all the stuff that had gone on. This is the year really now where there should be no excuses in terms of getting promoted. And look, if we do, I'll probably look back on these two years quite fondly. A lot of new grounds, as you say, Barra. It's very real. I mean, we were laughing with the Farsley fans about the fact that the game was completely unsegregated, which isn't something we got to experience just about anywhere else last season. So, look, hopefully we'll look back on it fondly one day. But I'm with Marco. I want to get promoted.
I get it. Yeah, right. I'm gonna give Max the points there for certain. Oh, that's a cracking answer, mate.
Right. And by the way, Ryan's a legend. He's such a nice lad, and it makes such a difference with him on home and away games.
Yeah, don't be upset, Marco. 2-1. You've taken the points. You've won the round.
Then it's my own Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of,
Marco's now going to boycott the next hero idiot and moment of the week. He's just take round his mouth. The whole works.
Our lass is downstairs. Obviously, she's the president in this house. She's just gone, don't you dare go on that next podcast. We're on strike.
Right, speaking of points, should we have an FPL update, Marco?
Hit
us with your FPL drumstick.
To be fair, oh God, it was a steady week where no one really...
Steady Eddie.
Yeah, I was very close to going Haaland triple captain. I do still have all my boosts, if anyone was interested.
I do too.
I thought Southampton at home for City would be the ideal one, but I ended up not doing, and I'm very glad I did. I know we bagged one, but we need to be bagging two at minimum if you're using that. As for us guys, we've got, I'll go lowest to highest. Yeah, Barra?
Yeah, sure.
So we've got Barra in 134th. Again,
which is still is that still top half? I think.
I think it was 290.
Borderline. What? Sorry, am I below Gareth now?
I don't even know Gareth.
You do. It's his YouTube channel for him, mate.
I don't know his FPL.
So I've just checked on FPL, and there's 263. So Barrett is almost exactly mid-table, down to the place.
That's good going.
And then we don't make this up on the fly. Just while Marco carries on, can you get us Gareth's position?
I'm scrolling. Just
keep scrolling down.
Prove to the viewers and the listeners that this isn't scripted and this is authentic.
We've got
it's real. It's real, if nothing else.
Award nominated. Just bear that in mind. We've
multi-award nominated.
Sounds like a Grammy. We've got in 85th, which again, I think if you're top 100, you're doing quite well.
Who's that in 85th?
Max.
Me. Yeah.
And even if, obviously Barra's down there, there's not actually much in it at all still because there's so many in the league. One good week really does.
I found Gareth.
Go for it.
He's joined 167th.
Oh, there you go.
So you're doing better than him, Barra. Well done.
I'll take that, yeah. I'll take that.
In 69th place.
Yeah.
Is where you find me.
And what about the FPL, mate?
I'm just gutted that you're not in joint 69th.
Oh God! Oh dear.
Particularly ours, and I'm sorry if he's listening, but the lad who's in 70th, so immediately below Marco, is the magnificently named Daniel Swallow.
Oh God!
That's not a joke. You can check it. And Dan, if you're listening, mate, I'm sorry, but be grateful you're not 69th.
So Marco is 69, just above Swallow.
This coming week, it's a
So
tough
what
one.
about Becky?
Becky, I think Max is still. Becky's actually leading us all. I'm sure. If Max
Yeah, she was doing really well, and I haven't got that far up the table yet, Barra. Hold your horses.
Can I just say, what a podcast!
Oh,
What a podcast!
what Max finds that is really.
Becky, I'm happy to say that Becky is in 17th
Ooh.
with the excellent name of Dude, Where's Micah? Pun
That's
on,
going from Becky.
obviously, Dude, Where's My Car?
Thank you. But yeah, so Man United players are going to be really popular now. Obviously, when we're recording this, we've won convincingly 5-2 tonight. They'll get the new manager bounce, and it just turns out that their next 2 games are Ipswich and Leicester. So expect to see a few Man United players being quite popular in the next couple of weeks.
And should we give a shout out to who's top?
Go on.
It's still Paul Crute.
I've got no movement wrote down here.
So Paul Crute could be taking the championship. Me and Marco
always good to see another ginger lad do well.
Yeah, we'll stall. Who's on for the wooden spoon, Max?
I'd already got that far. Don't you worry. So it previously been a little bit of change down there. I'm very happy to say that. Well, that fallen to last place is Freddie Hitchin. But judging by the gap, I think Freddie might have started the season a little bit later than everybody else. So give it another couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be off the bottom soon.
Mark, you need to pull your finger out of this section, mate. Max has just made you look like a right muck.
Well, I don't speak to anyone who's below me. That's just how the 69th works.
Yeah, I bet it does. Right. I tell you what, we're what are we, 57 minutes, something like that, under the hour today. So this is your Under the Iron Hour podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Hope you